I understand why many in Libya today will dearly wish that someone could rescue them from the battle that they are engaged in. I understand why they think that perhaps a Western intervention will assist them. But I also remember, as well as understand, I remember Iraqis who said to us 10 years ago, we hate Saddam so much, Saddam is so powerful that perhaps we need the West to get rid of him. I remember the Kurds who said to us, we are going to support a Western intervention because it's the only way that Kurds can get out from underneath the Saddam Hussein dictatorship. But look what happened. It could not possibly have been worse for Iraqis, for Kurds, than it was when Western intervention came. If the Western intervention hadn't been there, then the headlines would read today, Saddam Hussein rocked by mass demonstrations in Baghdad. The actual intervention killed 1 million Iraqis and delayed a mass movement against Saddam Hussein. It did not work to liberate Iraqis. When Afghanis said, we detest the Taliban, we can't possibly get rid of them ourselves. Couldn't possibly be worse if the West came, but it has been worse. Worse for 10 years that they've been occupied by the NATO forces. So it wasn't better for Iraqis, it wasn't better for Kurds, it wasn't better for Afghanis, and it will not be better for Libyans if the West get a hand in this. Because it won't stop with some neutral flight of planes opening up a royal road to Tripoli for the revolution. It will go like this. Planes will be shot down by Gaddafi's forces. US or British or French pilots will be paraded on the television screens in Tripoli. And then in every ministry of defence in Europe and Washington, the argument will come, we can't just win with air power. There have to be boots on the ground. And then the special forces will go in. And then the invasion will start. And then the revolution will be over. This is not an intervention to save a revolution. This is an intervention to stop a revolution. And that's why we say no Western intervention, no thin end of the wedge, no beginning of an occupation, no beginning of partition in Libya, because that's the other thing we're looking at. They can't win just by an air war. And I don't want to see the bloody remains of a Gaddafi regime in one half of Libya and a Western-controlled rump of a defeated revolution in another half of Libya. So all the options from intervention are bad. But there is one thing that we should say. We've only just heard, only in the last 24 hours since the talk of a Western intervention, exactly what Gaddafi's army looks like. He has only 10,000 troops, 3,000 of whom are mercenaries. That means that he couldn't deploy more than 5,000 against Benghazi. Benghazi has a population of 1 million. You can't take a city of 1 million armed and in revolution with a force of 5,000. This is a lie propagated by the media to justify an intervention against a revolution that could win on its own.
Thanks very much, John. Thanks to all the other speakers, and thanks to you for coming. We should maybe stay around for a little while and do some chanting. But in the meantime, I would urge you all to check your emails and check your Facebook on Stop the War and CND, because we will be calling further protests as the situation develops. And we will also be calling an emergency rally one night next week, probably Thursday night, where we'll have a range of speakers once more putting the argument to a wider audience against intervention. Thanks very much for coming. Keep up the fight.